Oh, while I'm waiting for Halo to load, I'm really curious as to what you guys think about the whole Brett Cooper situation. I will say that because of the nature of the NDAs, it's really hard to completely understand what went wrong. And there was that one Ian Carroll dude or whatever who had an insider in the Daily Wire, and he said that whatever the problem was, whatever it was that Brett Cooper has beef with the Daily Wire over, is connected with their personal life. I don't think that he meant to kind of like expose that, but he did say, you know, I'm not going to go into Brett's personal life, so I'm not going to explain what happened. So whatever happened, and I don't hear enough people talking about this, the beef that they have is over some personal life stuff. Now, maybe it's personal decisions. Maybe she's decided to get tattoos or something. I've got no idea. But whatever it is, I don't think it's about political policy. And I don't know that it's about over how the show was to be run either. Maybe it was monitoring employees or whatever, but whatever it was, Brett Cooper was upset at the Daily Wire, and also her contract was up. So she chose to leave instead of fighting through the disagreements with them, which is completely fine. And some people are saying, oh, well, she was pushed out or whatever. Well, if you're fighting with someone and you end up leaving, does that mean that you were pushed out? I don't know if I would put it like that. But yeah, so the interesting thing about the comment section was that while she was hosting it, it was produced by her best friend. And of course, this made things end up going perfectly, swimmingly and wonderfully, as mixing friends in business always does. So what ended up happening was the Daily Wire was like, oh man, well, we need a host for the comment section. This is a show, and Brett Cooper said that she wants to eventually move on to doing other things. She doesn't want to be doing the comment section forever anyways. So maybe we could just take the comment section with Brett Cooper and make it the comment section with someone else. And they had, I think, auditions of various people. But then they were like, hold on, wait a second. Reagan has filled in for Brett Cooper before. So let's just do a hot swap. Let's have Reagan Conrad copy Brett Cooper, copy the mannerisms, the basically steal her entire flow. And it's ridiculous that Halo Infinite takes so long that I could do an entire segment about Brett Cooper, and the game still hasn't loaded yet. But yeah, let's have Reagan Conrad steal Brett Cooper's entire flow, do a hot swap, and everything will be back to normal. But the Daily Wire did a severe miscalculation, because people weren't tuning into the comment section just to see a talking head read some comments. They were there for Brett and her bubbly, vivacious personality. So, of course, that made a lot of people upset. The mere fact that she's gone has made a lot of people upset. And also the fact that they've replaced Brett Cooper with Reagan. But apparently, it's also made Brett upset herself. So after that, Brett went and removed some pictures on her Instagram account that had Reagan Conrad in the photos. And so people were getting to thinking like, oh, well, did Reagan betray Brett in some way? And if so, how? Well, we don't know exactly how there was any sort of betrayal, in my opinion. But a cousin, I believe, of Reagan Conrad, who was close to Reagan, released a video and then deleted it, where she basically said that there was beef that I can't speak on because of an NDA. However, Brett Cooper said, hey, I'm going to do my own thing. Like I'm Miles Morales or something out here. And while I do my own thing, I want you to come with me. I want you to be my producer. I can't pay you as much as Daily Wire wants to pay you, because Daily Wire was offering her a bonkers amount of money. But, you know, we can do this together. We got this, and we can still have a future in content creation. And Reagan sort of hemmed and hawed. She was actually extremely torn, because she was stuck between joining her friend in her time of need, right? Like she needs a producer for her show. She's just got kicked off of the Daily Wire, more or less. Maybe not kicked off, but she chose to leave the Daily Wire. So she's kind of out on her own in the cold, so to speak. She needs a producer. She needs talent who can do things behind the scenes. And Reagan is out of a job, but she can choose to work right now with the Daily Wire and get a bucket load of cash, or she could choose to work for Brett Cooper for significantly less pay and also have to wait for a paycheck because Brett Cooper wouldn't be making content right away. And it was a very, very difficult decision. Apparently, Reagan was literally crying over it, but she decided to take the job at the Daily Wire. And the plot thickened even further because there also was a comment on some social media post related to this whole situation where basically the comment was saying that Reagan Conrad betrayed Brett Cooper, destroyed their friendship, and Brett Cooper's mother liked the comment. So that confirms apparently that Reagan Conrad did something. Not sure what that thing was, but it's all very strange stuff. And you know, this is the downside of signing NDAs like this, is that everything around you is super mysterious and kept quiet and hush hush. It can end up leading to rumors that make things seem worse than they actually are. And it's just a very, very horrible strategy from the Daily Wire to do stuff like this. Now, I do think that some people are now saying that there's no role for people like the Daily Wire because, oh, this is the internet. You can't just hot swap guests and things, right? And I think Ruslan actually made a video about this recently, and he was like, oh, some people came up to me and they were like, you should make a podcast network. And he's like, why should I make a podcast network? It doesn't make any sense when I can literally, when one of my employees can just make a show on his own, he can make his own YouTube channel. I don't need to own that. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't make sense for him either. I sort of disagree with the take that podcast networks don't make sense because there are some things you can do with distribution that a lot of people don't really think about. So, for example, I think that a design for a podcast network that makes sense is to say, okay, we are going. If you join us, you can make a show, and hey, even if you want, you get to own all of the rights to the show. But we own the studio, we own the equipment, and also we have the right to broadcast your show on our pipes. So, for example, like let's say that we have the Not a Newbie streaming network or whatever, and I sign on, I don't know, like Thorbin or whatever, and Thorbin has all these VODs or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I'm signing you, Thorbin. If you want to keep your own setup, you can, but if you want us to make you a setup, we can make you a setup. But then on top of that, I have a 24/7 streaming channel, and we'll just run your VODs. If you're live, we'll play your live streams. But if you're offline, we'll just run your VODs out of loop, and we'll split revenue, right? I'll get some revenue, and I'll split it with you. So it's beneficial for both sides. Like if doing something like that, because people I think overlook the whole linear thing, especially when it comes to independent content creators. When you've got like a live chat and stuff, it's a great way to build community. I think the Blaze TV, they do this really well. They have a streaming service where you can watch their content live. And there's like a live chat and everything. So I would disagree in saying that there's no room at all in the current content creation infosphere for a podcast network. But I think the way that the Daily Wire is doing things just doesn't make sense, and they need to change. Oh, there we go. Finally, Halo Infinite loads. The Angry Canadian says, so what's the catch? The catch is I get to make revenue. That would be the catch. Low key, if I'm going to be honest, I've actually wanted to make a podcast network at some point where it's like, or not a podcast network, but a content creation network, where it's got like linear channels. Content creators are signed on, and there are different time slots. If someone's live, then they're live in the live channel. But it's just an additional ad revenue source. Man, all these ads is an additional ad revenue source. What's the bad side? Well, I mean, of course, if I'm making a model for a podcast network, why would I make a bad side? I wouldn't make a bad side.